Hi, I'm Craig. I'm the lead estimator here at Asset Roofing, home of the Asset Roofing Protection Plan. Today we're in the Bothell Mill Creek area on a typical Pacific Northwest day, a little overcast, a little rain. And we're coming to take a look at this roof over here. From the outside, the curb appeal looks okay, but let's take a closer look at it. In order to do a thorough inspection of your home, one of the first places that we look is in your attic space, looking for ventilation, and also just telling us a little bit about your home's health. Performing a thorough inspection of your home is extremely critical to know all of the different facets and components of your roof. So we're here in the attic space, and we go in the attic to look for a couple things. Feel for ventilation, which is the biggest part of it. Also to check moisture in the air. So I'm here with the moisture meter, taking a look at what's going on underneath the roof. So just part of the inspection here, what we're looking at is the attic space. And I see some problems to this in particular. What it looks like is a lack of ventilation. So what's happening is condensation, just from your everyday living, from cooking, cleaning, showering, is causing, is permeating through your ceiling and just collecting here. So what you're seeing is a lack of ventilation causing a problem on the underside of the roof itself. Now that we're done in the attic, the next thing that I like to do is take a lap around the house, and I'm looking for a couple things in my inspection. The first thing I'm looking for are obstacles in the way of performing the re-roofing job. Another critical area would be the soffit. So we're going to come take a look at this soffit area at the front of the house, the start of our inspection from the ground itself. We're taking a walk around this home to take a look at a few components. The first thing that I look at is the soffit. So the soffit is defined as the part that's underneath over your overhang. And here we see some problems. This is known as the fascia, and what's going on here is a lack of flashing on this roof. So the interaction between the roof and the gutters is failing. We're at the back of the house performing our walkthrough, performing our inspection, and right now we're looking at a gutter run. So if you can take a look at this whole run, this is about 65 feet of gutter, and as you go down to the far end, you can see that they had to make an extreme slope to it in order for water to run off. The rule of thumb for gutters is to have a downspout every 30 feet, and they just failed to do that on this home. The closest downspouts are 60 or more feet away from each other, causing some problems, the interaction with the roof itself, and then just problems with the gutters overall draining correctly and doing their job, keeping the water away from your house. Before I get up on your roof, what I'm looking at here is the layers. Some folks have a couple layers. This home has one. And I'm also looking at what appears to be is lack of flashing. So what's happening is water is running off your roof, wicking back, touching the end of the plywood, rotting that section of the roof decking plywood. Now that I'm on your roof, what we're looking at, what part of my checklist is here is to look for penetrations through your roof. So a penetration is anything that's going through the roof itself. This is what's called a plumbing vent. We also have some ventilation at the top called can vents. I'm also looking for things like this: moss, debris buildup, the state of the shingles, what condition they're in. And then if you can get really low here, you can start to see this roof really showing its signs of lack of ventilation. It's starting to cup and curl, an indication that it's getting too hot on the roof surface, and that's all due to ventilation. That's a ventilation problem. This roof is pre-aged because of the ventilation problem. A very critical thing that I'm looking at is overall workmanship the last time this roof was replaced or retrofitted. And so what I'm looking at are the penetrations. They're very uniform on this roof, but you have some differences. So there's a different type of vent here. There's a different type of vent over the kitchen. It's actually backwards. So I'm looking at, okay, why did they do this, and what do we have to do to make it right the next time around? A normal thing here in the Pacific Northwest are brick chimneys or masonry chimneys. A very critical part of your roof because it's one of the biggest penetrations, one of the biggest problems that homeowners have when it comes to leaks. So what we're looking at here are components of the last time that they roofed this house. So this is called counterflashing here. This is kind of an old method of producing the waterproofing in this area. So as you can see, that's the step style. There's some problems here specifically on this roof. There's two solutions to it overall. There's two steps to fixing this problem. So instead of running this step, we want to run a skirt across the whole thing. And then underneath, we're going to bring what's called ice and water shield up the curb of the chimney. So we're going to run the skirt flashing into the chimney across the whole thing. We're going to put ice and water shield underneath and step flashing underneath that. It's a watertight way of doing it. One of the most critical things, and something that we're an expert in at Asset Roofing. We're really good at masonry chimneys, making sure that they're watertight. The next thing that I'm looking at that are on a lot of homes here in the Pacific Northwest are what are known as valleys. So valleys are defined as two sloped roofing surfaces meeting at a point. As you can see here at this particular roof, there's a lot of debris built up here. In fact, when folks call us to ask about a leak that they're having, the first question I ask is, what valley is it in? Because these are extremely critical areas. If you let the debris hang out here, you will have a leak. A way to combat that is similar to the chimney. And as you can see, they've actually put flashing through this. So this is what's known as an open valley. This flashing actually extends way out here. And so the best practice is actually to lay down a layer of ice and water shield over this whole valley and then do this flashing through it, bringing your shingles over it. Taking a look at some of the penetrations through this roof, we're looking at an attic ventilation point. These are what are known as AF50s. So this is just a wide open hole into your attic space. We eliminate these when we re-roof homes. So instead of using these to bring warm, moist air out of your attic, we use a much more efficient way by actually using a ridge vent across the whole peak of your roof, eliminating the possibility of leaking. A very common problem with these are that they crack over time. In the heat, in the cold, and expansion and contraction, they just end up leaking. So we eliminate that. We make it much more efficient with the ridge ventilation. What we're looking at here is another example of penetration. It's extremely important, and something that I keep on reiterating is penetration. That's where problems come from in roofs, are some of the components. And it doesn't take much to pay attention to the details and prevent these problems from coming up. It just takes some time and some extra effort. What we're seeing here is an electrical inlet to the house. And as you can see, this is just totally wide open, cracked and broken. The way that we prevent that is we actually use a lead pipe on this that clamps to it. The lead conforms to the pole and solves your problem forever. It's a forever piece. It'll last longer than the roof. What we're looking at here is what's known in our industry as a flapper vent. This hooks up to either bathroom vents or dryer vents, something that's powered. So this goes through the roof and attaches to some of those powered fans that you have in your home. We inspect all of these because there tends to be cracks. You may not be able to see this, but there's actually a crack, a hairline crack around here. This is actually a plastic piece. What we do instead of these is we use metal. We find it much better, much more long lasting. You don't get the cracks like you do with the plastic ones. After performing a full inspection of your roof and your home and your attic space, what I do next is put together an estimate for you to decide what you want, what you need, and what you're looking for. But no matter what, when you decide to hire Asset Roofing, you get quality work, trusting relationship, and the Asset Roofing Protection Plan.